So welcome everyone. Welcome to our Seesaw Collab-o-rama. This is our third collaborative Seesaw because we have so many amazing teachers who either have been using Seesaw for a long time or have just started using it and are just sharing a few of the things that they've tried and found effective. So we have Joy Riddle and Tristine White and Kat Russell here, and we'll introduce them more as we get going.
All right, so welcome everybody to our Collab-o-rama. These have been wildly successful. We wanted to make sure that everybody kind of understood the why. We had so many great collaborations in room 27, so it's nice to continue these virtually. I just want to remind you that these types of meetings, not only do we learn new ideas, but it really helps encourage and kind of empower us to try new things that either we didn't know it existed, or maybe we did, but we were a little fearful. So now to be able to see it, someone else demonstrate for us, I really think this helps. This has been really hard. Talk about feeling isolated, setting up, being at home, away from our colleagues. So I really feel like these collaboramas are a way for us to really fight that professional isolation. So I welcome you today. I appreciate we're still always looking for teachers that are willing to share their strategies and ideas. So don't be shy. So please get in contact with Liz and I if you are interested in presenting or sharing just a couple slides at an upcoming Collab-o-rama. So with that, I think our first presenter is Joy Riddle. So Joy Riddle is from Parkview, third grade teacher. Welcome, Joy.
Hi, everyone. So I'm just going to talk about some icon shortcuts to encourage responses, the send back feature, and also connecting co-teachers. I prepared home learning work packets before we knew we were totally out for the year. So I've been using activities to post answer keys for families while keeping track of their work within each activity. The icon shortcuts have been a game changer. They are so simple to embed. As you can see from the before and after, the after is a much cleaner look and I think it's way more student friendly. I also believe one benefit of learning online is that the students that are participating, they will strengthen their literacy skills by reading instructions for academic survival. And the icon shortcuts are a visual bonus. I also want to mention, you could record yourself reading the instructions too. So with the text, your voice, and the icon shortcuts, you've already reached your auditory and visual learners. And if you assign an activity that prompts them to draw a picture or record a video, you've reached our kinesthetic learners too. So student responses, the icon shortcuts can only encourage students to add responses, and it helps the teacher too. Here is my view of my student responses. I first found it very overwhelming when I didn't use the activity feature and had students post. It felt very random, and if I wanted to find something, I would have to find the student and scroll through his or her work. So I'm pretty adamant about making sure my students check the light bulb. I've sent out that screenshot of the circled light bulb more than once with an emphasis on post all of your work and activities by tapping add response. I even tell them, in order to get credit for your distance learning, you need to add a response to each activity. Reason being, after I create an activity, I can tap on its gray bar and see a whole class view. This is really helpful for me when students are missing work, so I can reach out, and when students hit the bullseye, so I can feel good about myself. The send back feature. Yeah. The send back feature is a fantastic interactive way to get students to think about their learning and not just blindly post something. I'm done. You can see on the left, one of my students missed the mark on her base 10 drawing. Seesaw has base 10 blocks pre-made, so I just dragged and dropped next to her drawing and asked her to notice any differences. I don't send back everything, but when I do and the student corrects it and sends it back to me, like on the right, it makes my whole day. Connecting co-teachers. So I think the easiest and possibly the most valuable tool in Seesaw right now is the ability to connect co-teachers. You can see the co-teachers I've connected so far, our principal, school counselor, reading group teacher, and my student teacher. Science has shown that there can be a tendency to value ourselves based on the people that liked us and the number of likes we get. It's also a huge motivator. So before, students were able to view and like each other's work. Now with their home learning codes, they can only see their own work. I say the more co-teachers you can get on board, liking and commenting on students' work, the better. It's like bringing the village to raise the child.
So I only have a compliment. You're getting, Joy, you got several compliments, but no questions. Actually, one just came in. Joy, can you connect co-teachers to just specific students in the class?
That's a great question. I have not figured that out yet, but what I do is, so I've connected our school counselor, and in the teacher journal view, he can just tap on that student and only see the work for that student.
Okay.
And Joy, things that they've posted to the journal and that they've done in activities show when you open their folder, right?
Yes, so when they post to their journal, you will see a little header that says the activities, the title of the activity. But when they just open up their iPad, take a photo of their work and post it, it just gets lost in the teacher feed because you see everyone's work. So I personally really like activities and found it really helpful.
Great.
Okay. Thank you, Joy, for
All right.
sharing. Those were wonderful ideas. All right, so if there's no more questions for Joy, we are going to move on to, I have my blocking, to Kat Russell's. Next up, third grade, Hollywood Beach. Welcome, Kat.
Hi, everyone. So I am coming into this distance learning as a total newbie to Seesaw. I didn't have really any platforms. I mean, I used my document camera and I used internet resources, but I never used a platform like Google Classroom or Seesaw. So, and I also happen to be in the circumstance of not having seen my kids since October because I was on medical leave before the pandemic. So I kind of didn't know exactly where they were. And I wanted something that would be like the brick and mortar of us getting together and me being able to have assignments in one place. So I gave it a go and experimented over spring break and really liked it. So I'm just volunteered, not as an expert, but as somebody totally new that jumped in, and it's working for me and I'm enjoying it. So the first part is the curriculum with Seesaw, and I do use the activity library, but I also create a lot of my own assignments. My kids check their email every morning, and I send them a little note about the day, and then I send them a Zoom link because I'm meeting with them basically every day just for like an hour. And in Seesaw, you can make your own activity and you can add multimedia, you can add links to other places, you can tailor it to exactly what you're doing. Like we're reading Frindle right now, so in our Zoom meetings, I'm reading like a chapter or two a day while they read along because I gave them each a copy. And then in Seesaw, I'll post like a response to literature, and they can record their response at times. They can take a picture of a written response for me. They can make a video, so they have a lot of different options of how to answer. So the activity library has also already done lessons that they can click and drag. It has art lessons, it has by every subject. And you can browse through what other teachers have done by grade level, by topic, and really find things that would be of interest to the kids or that go along with what you're doing and have already been laid out for you. And you can edit those topics as well, which I just learned last week in a Collab-o-rama. And then I just like the fact that with Seesaw, I can give the kids options of how they respond. Sometimes I say, you have to write a paragraph, show me your paragraph. You can type it in the notes or take a photo of what you've handwritten and post that. But other times I let them respond in any way they want. And I think that it's something that brings comfort to them during this time too, is to be able to have a little bit of flexibility in how and when they respond, because there's a lot of other things going on in the homes. My kids in particular, a lot of them live in Silver Strand and they don't have a good internet connection. So technology has been a real frustration, and it's prevented some of the kids from being on a daily basis. And, you know, we've been trying to work together on dealing with that. But on the next slide, I'm showing the pictures of the activity library. So the top one, number one, you can browse it there on the Seesaw homepage. you go to the bottom right hand and it'll show you this, browse the activity library. And then once you click on it, that's number 2, you can go to community, which is all the posted work from other teachers. And then also my library, which would be things that you've either assigned, even if they were from other teachers, things that you've assigned in the past from the community, or your own that you've created. They get stocked in your library. And one thing that I found is that if I create my own activity and I don't assign it, it will automatically stay in my library, and then I can edit and fix it later. So you can kind of get ahead of the game too in creating things, but not assigning them to kids and then having them at the ready when you need them. And then the last thing is when you create your own new activity. I know that screen is really light. It was a screenshot, but basically it says you give it an activity name, you give the kids the instructions, and then you click on, if you want multimedia, you can upload something and it just paste in the URL, which I'll show you later. And you can also put pictures, you could put a voice recording, you could make a video of yourself showing an example. So it's really neat because it gives you the opportunity to do kind of the same things that you would in the classroom, and many different ways instead of just written and response like a packet would be. Okay, and then on the next slide, this just shows you that the response options can vary. Like one kid took a photo of his math work. Another child for a friendly response did a video, and all I have to do when it submits to me is just click on the arrow and it just plays the video of the kid. Or they can write notes. They can actually type in the notes. So those are 3 features I really like. This is the attachment down by the arrow, below the arrow. That's the attachment screen that you can see and kids can see how easy it is to just click on photo if they want to take a picture of their work, or click on drawing if they want to have like a whiteboard and they can either handwrite or change the color, change the width of the brush and put shapes and things like that. So it's really nice for math. They can make a video. You can upload something. You can have them, the notepad is them typing in notes. And you can even go in and make a template where you type in a question and then leave space in the notepad for them to type in their response. And then the link where you can add a link of a URL that you want them to visit. Okay, and the next screen. This is something that I've just started doing. I was really making my own activities that they could do on their own and post back to me, but I wasn't really exploring linking other things. I was having my kids go into Newsela the first 2 weeks when we didn't know we were going back, but I was having them go in through Newsela, just logging in through Clever, and I had like a class code. But this is nice because you can do that you can actually take the link and then paste it. So some of my favorites that I've been using are Newsela, the Museum of Ventura County, Dogo News, UCubed, GoNoodle, Scholastic Science, Mystery Science, which the activity library for Seesaw actually has a lot of Mystery Doug and Mystery Science little mini lessons. ST Math videos, like the learning videos so that the kids can get started on the program. Art Hub, Kahoots, National Geographics. So I think you can really, anything that you normally would use with your teaching would be great. And I like these just because they're working with the distance plan right now. They offer a lot of different things to study. So the next one, when you're assigning an activity, when you create your own, it gives you the screen that lets you type in the instructions. I think I described this before, and then add multimedia if you want to. And there's that screen again that the kids see. It comes up when you're making an assignment. And then at the bottom, it's that easy. It just has a box where you just paste the URL or type it in. And then when you click the green check mark that you've done it, it adds that to your assignment. So then when the kids see it, I think might be in the next picture. When the kids see it, you can see on top of the tree, I try to put a little sun to show you, it says link. All the kids have to do is click on that link and it will take them right to the website. So this one took them to the Ventura County Museum website, which is really good because now that they don't have any public coming, and you know, they're so used to having kids and field trips and educational programs, they have taken all those same people and devoted to making modules for virtual learning. So I think right now they have either 5 or 6 up. And when you go onto the website, you just click on education and then you click on virtual learning. and then you choose a learning model. So right now, because in 3rd grade, we've been studying our communities and ecosystems and everything, there was a piece on the Chumash and how they use live oak trees, and just the live oak tree resource. It's called Throwing Shade. So I took my kids to that website. They got to see like a 15-minute video of a Native American showing how she turns the acorns into flour, and just talking about the history of the oak trees and stuff. And so it was really interesting to them too, to have somebody besides just me, their teacher that they're always hearing from, do the speaking. So sometimes when you use a website, I think it gives the kids a chance to be with you while they're learning, but not just have you be the vehicle for how they learn. These 2 informational reading websites I love Newsella. I used it with upper grade. I was a little worried about it for 3rd grade, but I like it because you can change the Lexile level and you can see exactly which kids have logged in. I like that these articles are written for kids. The Dogo News articles are particularly nice. I think those are actually written by kids as well. And they're just very current. There's a lot of cool science information, a lot of environmental information, politics, government, economy, but it just puts it in a way that the kids can understand. So if you're needing a reading resource, I really highly recommend those for informational reading. And then ST Math is something that the district has put into Clever for all of us. It's a really great program because there's no oral language involved and it plays like a video game. So the idea behind it is to really strengthen the spatial temporal part of your brain. It's based on neuroscience. And so whenever a child enters a game, they know their objective is to get their character across. Just like in a video game, they would know what the objective was for their character. But what they have to do then is when they enter the math concept, they have to just take a risk and try different things out. And if their risk pays off, Gigi gets across, he's the penguin. If their risk doesn't pay off, they don't just get like a red X saying, hey, you didn't get it right, try again. What they do is Gigi will go through the motions of, oh, I'm going back too far, or I went too far forward, so that they can start to analyze what's happening and try to adjust their next move. And what we know about kids in video games is that they'll play, even if they die 1,000 times, they'll play again and again and again. It doesn't bother them. But we know in math class, they can get a red X on a paper and see other kids that got the answer right and just feel bad. And so this is supposed to take away some of that emotional aspect of failure and making mistakes, and let them see that they can learn from their mistakes. Idea 3, just daily interactions with kids. Seesaw I really like because I can do it on my own time. I can see the whole class view that Joy showed us, and it says whether they've completed it, whether it's a draft, or whether it needs review by me, and I can do it when I can, which is what I need because I have a family now. I have my 2-year-old and I have other kids at home learning, so I need the time on my own. It can't be like a set time every day. This is what the screen that Joy showed, and the orange banners are for drafts. That means that I sent the information back to the kids, and some sent videos, some sent in notes. On this one, they had a choice. And then the gray areas are kids who haven't answered. And to be honest, I only have about half my class doing the Seesaw activities. But anyways, the next screen shows you just to include on Seesaw, they have squiggles and doodles and comic. They have so many fun things that you might not consider that you want to use that as your time, but the kids love it. And like this one, this kid did a comic and then he actually wrote a story underneath. And then I can comment back to him, and it does, we can have interaction that's just for fun. And they need a break, even though it feels like they have less school hours now. They really do need a break from even with you, the teacher, just like you would in the classroom.
Julia wants to let you know, thank you so much for all the information. It was really great. Kate wants to know, is ST Math available for all grade levels?
I believe it's K through 6,
Yep.
But I'm not sure. Yeah.
It's all elementary.
Okay.
And Monica wants you to know that, yes, she loves the flexibility of response options. She did a family math interview last week, and the videos with their families made her day. Anyway. Thank you. And Kat, you gave us a lot of good ideas for what we can include in the virtual learning gym. So thank you. All right. So our last presenter today is Tristine White, and she is a resource teacher at Elementary.
First of all, I just want to say my favorite thing about Seesaw is the fact that it's so easy to differentiate, whether it's the response or the type of instruction. I used it kind of intermittently the last 4 years while I was actually teaching in RSP. I have K through 5. So, you know, just trying to manage, you know, when I have just all the different schedules. Sometimes I might have a kindergartner coming in while I'm finishing a lesson with a 5th grade group. And so historically, what I used it for in the classroom was just getting the kids started on a start activity. So it might have been that they were reviewing high frequency words, or it might be that there was a math lesson that they watched and then replicated just to sort of get going. So anyway, I immediately gravitated towards Seesaw primarily when we went to the distance learning model, and I've been using it for a little bit, long enough to be have thought through some things that I think might help. I also want to add that I am also a new mom and I have under 2-year-old. So my choices for what I wanted to share today, I also wanted to share things that just make life easier and can be time effective. So my first one is use your doc cam to include video. When I first started, which I started with my kiddos 2 weeks ago with Google Meets and trying to utilize Seesaw and kind of get them going, mostly because with my special education population, I had some great concern about accessibility and how this all was going to go. So I wanted to get started early and then and kind of troubleshoot things as I went. One of the big things I recognized was that holding up a hundreds chart and manipulatives is not fun. It's hard to juggle, it's hard to follow, especially if you have special ed kids. And I hustled down and grabbed my doc camera. And the beauty is that you can take videos as you're teaching and then embed those into Seesaw. So some of my students have an explicit goal of improving their math fluency. And one thing I wanted to do as an educator is try to replicate a lot of the things that they were seeing at school, trying to let them see those same things, you know, just to kind of reduce the fear factor or, you know, concern about distance learning. So, and I don't know, Liz, how we're going to do this, but I wanted to just show you one of the activities. So for example, rolling dice, it's very difficult to do unless it's on the table. And you know, the use of manipulatives, also very difficult. So anyway, I took this video with the DocuCam. In this activity, I embedded the video and then I was able to assign it, you know, with a blurb, similar to what Ms. Riddle was saying. You can type up your instructions and then you can audio record them so that that's another practice, but also accessibility to your instructions, and create an activity like as Kat showed with a response. So in this one, I created an activity and then I just hooked up my video to the doc camera. And are we able to play it, Liz, or is
I wanted to add though, for people who don't have their document camera at home, which is probably a lot, using your phone or your iPad, you can prop that up high also and make your video that way. I like how the overhead view really shows what you're going to do, which is the power of the doc cam to begin with, right? Mm-hmm. But that can also be improvised with a phone or your iPad.
And also, you know, with our kiddos that are needing instruction the way that we delivered in RSP, that sometimes they just have to see it multiple times. So it's really nice to be able to just take the video as you're doing it, post it, and say, please review this a few times this week.
Agreed. Let's listen to a second.
Oh, it's hard to hear. So that's a typical, you know, something that we would be doing a few times a week in RSP. And that you might be a typical activity you may be doing or similar to it when you were pulling your intervention groups or you had your kiddos that were being IPT'd. So another way that we have been providing a lot of intervention, both in gen ed and also in special education, is with, you know, just phonics pattern review. And so one of the ways that I found that I could present this to students as we're learning and in a Google Meet, but then also post to Seesaw, is I have, I get the student onto the Google Meet, display my screen in Seesaw, create a video, which was one of the things that Kat had shown in her, you know, how to create an activity. One of the options is video. You can create a text box. And so let's say we're working on the short vowel sounds, where you can present to them a letter A, and you can ask them, what sound does this make? And they say, ah, right? There's a record on the left side where you can actually start a recording as well. So if I type an A and I say, okay, this is ah, then as I'm teaching, I can place, or I can click on record and I can say, ah, mute or pause, change the letter to a letter E. What does this say? Eh. I can stop, record, eh, and then progress through it. So what I'm getting to with the double duty is sometimes, you know, if we're having to do this in a Google Meet with a student, it's nice to see the exact same way you presented it to them in person as a review throughout the week, and then you can kind of follow up and assess at your next Google Meet. If you're a special educator right now, one of the things that we're needing to do is log, you know, the activities that we're assigning, whether they did it or not. So you can ask in your instructions that the students just place a done or thank you or some sort of response that tells you that they did this, and then you can record those as minutes as part of your instruction in special ed. So you get the gist. It's double duty, so you're not having to go back and recreate that and record. It's something you can do kind of simultaneously, post, and then have the kids review as follow-up. And then the other thing too is just being able to assign activities for those of us in special education, or if you're modifying, accommodating for a student, the fact that you can just create an activity that doesn't go to the entire class. You can go in and you can differentiate and click on your 5 kids that need to work on maybe sentence structure, whereas you have another 10 that need to work on a summary paragraph writing. So in this example, I have a student that's working on a few paragraphs. And so we had a discussion in our Google Meet about what he was going to write. We did an example together. And then I was able to follow up and send him something to do independently. And again, if you're in special education and you're needing a way to ensure that you're getting the feedback, that the students are engaging in these activities for their minutes, or if you're needing to assess as well, they can respond and write back in the same activity. And it's just a really, really great platform for all of us, I believe, that are doing the intervention or the special education piece.
Okay. Cynthia wanted to know, are you saving any of these awesome videos and activities on the shared district Seesaw section?
I have not done that.
I think the people,
but I could, and I should.
Okay. And I think we're caught up with questions. I did, before we let everybody go today, we've been ending our Collab-o-ramas with a couple questions for our presenters. And I feel kind of bad because you're going cold. I usually give you a heads up, but so this will be real organic. So let's start with Joy. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. First, can you let us all know what has been your biggest challenge with distance learning? And also, has there been any silver linings with distance learning that you can share with us?
Challenges for sure is, as was mentioned, getting everyone to consistently log on and turn in assignments and reaching out to everyone and making sure we're all on the same page. I mean, that's a challenge in the classroom. and distance learning, you just want to be there, but you are just virtually. And silver lining is the time with my daughter. I just would have never had this time. So that's a personal silver lining.
Good. How about you, Kat?
I'd say the greatest challenge has been the technology factor. Some kids were on right away. Some kids had such a struggle getting through, and it was like 20 to 25-minute phone calls every other day trying to talk them through, okay, try this and do this and do that, and it just, they were frustrated and I was frustrated. But I think a silver lining is just that, the kids, some of the kids that just in class may not have seemed as interested, or you would go all out on an assignment, those kids are making videos. Like I have a kid that's, I guess he has a YouTube channel too, but he does that, and he's doing classroom ones, and he's, did an exercise video that he wanted me to share with the kids so that they could do a routine, and like, he just enjoys it. And I think that people having time with their families and just having a break in that overscheduledness that we all suffer from. I think I've seen things coming out of kids, and they've been expressing things that have been really positive. So everybody misses each other, and we wish we could be back in class, but we've been sharing a lot of positivity that we have in our own lives. So that's been nice.
All right, thank you. How about you, Justine?
I just have to piggyback on the former two ladies and their responses that it's been a challenge to get families connected and consistently connected. I can share, for some reason I felt like I was like cruising along for 2 weeks, and this week I've had Google Meet tech issues, which it's a new thing, and trying to help kids troubleshoot those so that you can just kind of keep with the flow of instruction. That's been a challenge. I'm a single mama, and I have a itty bitty person, and I've been really blessed that my dad has taken my son for a couple of hours. Silver lining is that mornings are not rushed with my son, because I have the ability to start my my instruction at 10 a.m. It's beautiful to not have to rush in the morning. And also just the feeling that I feel like I get when I'm connecting with the kids I haven't seen in a week. You can just feel their energy and their love and enjoyment, and I feel it, reciprocated. That's just a really beautiful feeling to connect with our kids through this.
Yes, I wanted to share like something I found that happened in Seesaw. So I posted a social emotional, like just fun Friday check-in. How are you feeling about working at home? What do you miss about school? And you have those students that are really shy that you never hear from in class, and they recorded themselves answering these questions. And I've never heard them talk more about how they're feeling and how things are going at home than I did before. So I was just really pleasantly surprised with that. And that was really nice. I got to know them, I think, better through their recording than if I asked them in person in class, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you so much. I want to thank all three of you. We were talking about, we didn't do this on purpose, but all three presenters today have young children under 2 at home, and they're new moms and super busy. So I guess Liz called it the mom's edition of Collab-o-rama. So thank you for all that you're doing and for all your great ideas. I'm going to let Liz take us home and talk about where you can find the recording of this.
Yeah, so listen, some of the ideas that were shared, you might be thinking, I want to make an activity, but I'm not exactly sure how. I'm trying to open a new tab, and the Zoom toolbar is right where I want to be.
I see that.
Got it. I got it. All right. So what I want to make sure you know about is bit.ly/HESD mission 20. And that's, of course, our mission control website. When you go here and you go to blast off at the top and PD for DL, all of the recordings for all of our TST sessions and the slides are posted here. So maybe, let me scroll down to Seesaw. It's going to take a second to load all the thumbnails. Maybe you're not sure which one is going to have the answer. You can click and flip through the Google Slides to see if that answers your question, Our Collab-o-ramas are here. You've got those videos and you've got the slides. And then I'll add this one here as soon as I have it ready. But all these resources are here for you so that you can get the help you need right when you need it. So go into these resources, have stuff to share with people. Seesaw is such a good one to really, as our presenters mentioned, to really get a glimpse into what your students' strengths are that you might not have seen in the classroom. So it's kind of fun as we get used to this to see how some of our students are really opening up who they are because they're at home. So I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to encourage you to be reflective, but be reflective in a positive way, looking back on the great things that you've been doing or been attempting and feeling proud of yourself, in addition to refining what you can, because that's kind of the name of the game right now, right? Try something, reflect on it. What went really well? Are you proud of yourself just for even putting yourself out there and trying it? What can you change? And always know I'm here cheering you on, and we're here to help you. All right. Have a great day, everyone. And we'll see you later.